So notice on your drafts, a couple of things I've noticed as I've read through your papers. You talk about the way you're integrating texts, specifically citing sources, the way you use quotations, and a little bit on block quotes, which we've not spent very much on. I want to spend some time talking about the titles of your papers, just a little bit, and the style of the paper in general, the way it looks. Style points here is going to be about ways that you are writing. And then we're going to look back at the prompt. In the Blue Book, BB, page 638, there's an entire sample paper. Yours will look a lot like it. A whole yellow section in the Blue Book. Section 36 deals with how to cite things, how to integrate texts, how to use blocks of text, and so on. And then that sample paper shows you what that should look like. Citing sources, this is integrating text in section 36B of the Blue Book. Proper MLA style is to use the last name and then the page number, so it'll look like Salinger 22. There's a range of pages, Salinger 22 through 23. If you mention the author in the sentence, according to Salinger, comma, this, then you just use the page number as so. When you use a parenthetical citation, it's quotation marks, then parentheses, and then, should be a then here, the punctuation. Like this, quote, citation, period. Things that we've talked about that I need to reiterate because I'm still seeing a lot of people do it, and it may just be because they were drafts. I understand that they were drafts and many of you are still working on wrapping things up, integrating things, even finding evidence. Never plop and drop. A quote should never stand by itself unless it is a block quote, which we'll talk about in a moment. A block quote needs to be more than 3 lines long. Punctuation inside quotes unless there are parentheses, then outside. So this is what that looks like down here. Here we have quotation marks. Because there are no parentheses here, the comma goes inside of the quotation marks. However, because we're at the end of the sentence and we have the parenthesis here, punctuation goes outside of it. Why? I don't know. That's just the rule. This is what the block quote would look like. It's important to note that this is the sentence leading into it. It doesn't have to always be a colon, but a colon usually fits as it leads into this big piece of information. This is a double indent, so the paragraph may indent right here, and this is going to double indent past it. Very, very important is that you don't end paragraphs with quotes or chunks of text. I need you to talk through what this is meaning. And this sentence here is just beginning to talk about what all this is about. There would be much more following, especially since there's so much information. If you give all this information and you don't spend a good amount of time discussing, walking through it, talking about how it links back to your idea below it, then I'm having to work harder as a reader than you did as a writer. And you never want that. So if we look to see how this looks in a paper, it would look something like this. You see the double indent, and you can highlight and grab the box below the 2 arrows and move it around. Most word processing programs, Microsoft Word and Pages, I think both the main ones, indent this far. Your double indent will be that far. Sometimes people will set their indent to be there. That's fine. If you want to double indent and go that far, that's fine. It's up to you. I'm going to look at titles. As you create a title for your essay, get a little bit more creative than critical analysis or Abden's English essay. A good example might be social morality and the homo in The Merchant of Venice, as this person would be discussing homosexuality versus homosociality. In Merchant, something we've kind of discussed in class, you're going to be linking it to morality, and it's probably going to be a cultural criticism. So I can get all that from the title. So the title should give me, without being overly long, should give me an idea of what I'm going to be reading. There's a specific style for the front page. I'll show it to you in just a moment. And a specific way of integrating page numbers. So let's look at that. This is the style of the front page. student's name, teacher's name, course, date that the paper is due. Here's the title. No extra spaces. The whole thing is double spaced. No extra spaces. No extra spaces between paragraphs either. To insert, a page number. Simply go to the Insert tab. You'll see the page number button. Click on that. It'll ask you top of page, bottom of page. It must be the top of the page. That's the style. It puts a cursor beside of the number for you. It has to be to the right of the top of the page. You can enter. Just type in your last name. To get out of that, hit Escape. And you see there's Abden 1, Abden 2. Now, it's not the teacher's name. It would be your name. So let's say it was Bamberger 1, Bamberger 2, and so on. To get out of that, again, hit Escape. Notice the font is different, so you can simply double-click on it, highlight it, go to Home, change the font. It should look exactly like the rest of the paper. Page number should be the same font size, so on. A couple of style points, things that I'm noticing. Too many commas and long sentences. Look how you guys can have your ideas tighter. We worked on this a lot with the college essays. Just because this is a full critical analysis essay doesn't mean that you need to write and try to sound smart. Be the smart people that I know you are. Make your ideas clear, make them short, make them to the point. Occasionally you need a long sentence to talk through something, but it should be followed up with a short sentence that says it sharp, sweet, to the point, succinctly. And let's do no contractions, no aren't, weren't, don't. It's just a style thing. Avoid I. Notice I say don't use I at all. Just avoid it. It gets into I think, I feel, I believe, which you absolutely should never use in this kind of thing. You don't want to remind the reader of their opinion, of your opinion. Use more absolute words. Avoid words, usually like maybe, possibly, could be, likely, etc. Should have an etc. here. It's okay to an extent if you've got some uncertainty, if you're really talking through an idea that is a stretch, but you don't want your whole paper to sound like that. You need to make a claim, stand by it. And one other thing, little stylistic thing, I know Early Bird knows a lot about this from my talking about it. Avoid two or more adjectives or adverbs unless they're absolutely necessary. Those things pile up, and before you know it, the readers are lost, wondering what you are really talking about. You don't want to bury your verbs. You don't want to bury your nouns underneath all these adjectives and adverbs, or the readers get lost. Too many people are summarizing, telling me just what's happening in the story, and a lot of so what. I did a lot of so what asking on the paper. Also, make sure that you're talking about what the author does in or accomplishes with the text more than what happens in the text. As I've said before, commentary is talking about what the author's doing. Summarizing is talking about what the characters are doing. Rely on the text. A claim without evidence is just talk. You guys have got to find some quotes. You have got to find some areas to paraphrase or to summarize, fit that into your text. Paraphrasing is fine. You don't always have to quote something. But if you're going to paraphrase something that happens in the text, you have to cite it still. So go ahead and get your nose in the book, get some page numbers, and talk about some more specifics. Apt and specific references, ASR. Get very specific with what you're talking about. The prompt. If we revisit the prompt, we're going to notice that everybody needs to talk a little bit more about the schools of criticism. They need to be touched on in the introduction and or the thesis, and textual support like we've already talked about. If we look at the prompt, these are things that I've highlighted here. This is what your initial assignment was. Everybody has a copy of this, and you should be looking at it as you wrap up your final paper to say, am I doing what this has asked me to do? Getting rid of this ambiguity is going to start by relying more on texts. It would be nice to see some devices. Some of you have worked in some imagery and talking about some of the diction within your paragraphs. That's not part of the prompted assignment, but it would be nice if you could work with some metaphors and some other things within those, just doing the traditional analysis that we've been working on in class. And final thing, if you Google the OWL at Purdue, it's the online writing lab at Purdue University. It's a really, really good, useful source, a lot like your Blue Book. And finally, checklist. Let's look at that checklist real fast. You'll be getting the checklist tomorrow, and I don't have the checklist up right now. Let me find it. Here's the checklist, and it refers you to all of the Blue Book pages. Use the Blue Book. The Blue Book is there, and you bought it as a reference for you, and if you look back at my presentation here, I'm referring you specifically to all these Blue Book pages that will help you out in these sections that will help you out.